Okay, here we are with the inaugural HTBox Weekly. We are going to just do some coding today. So for the most part, I'm probably going to move about the issues and log. And if anybody joins, that's great. If not, that's okay too. This is the first iteration of this, and hopefully we get some active people joining and they can participate and ask questions, find out more. AllReady is a project here on GitHub that is part of the Humanitarian Toolbox. You can see here that there's a pretty good intro page. It's quite big right now. Don't be afraid of it. Read through it. Check out the code, clone the repo if you want to, actually fork the repo if you want to participate, create a fork, and then we're going to do pull requests back. There's going to be a wiki that's expanded out. You can see right now that wiki will contain lots of details on how to get involved and how to take part. You can see there's a lot going on in the project right now. We've had 70 pull requests in the last week. We've closed 70 issues in the last week, and there's 125 active issues. If we pop in and have a look at the contributions that have been made, lots of stuff going on here, especially we've ramped up since the start of October, and we've really been taking names and kicking butt. So please feel free to join in. If you've got questions, I'll be muted, but when you join, I will answer any questions you've got and try and direct you in the right direction. If you are watching this pre-recorded, obviously I can't answer questions, but feel free to join our next one. I'm going to be doing this every Saturday at 10 a.m. Just part of my process here, what I'm doing is having a look at any of the outstanding pull requests that are here, any of the outstanding issues. So the one that I am picking up is 343, which has to do with that the message all. There's a feature that we have that all volunteers on the project can be sent a message, either an email or a text message. And right now it's not sending that detail out. So I'll just show you a bit of my process here. I've got this storage, there's a storage service crashing defect as well. So we did fix that, but unfortunately it's kind of reared its head again and we need to do a little bit more investigation. So I'm going to get myself all set up here. I am on master. If you're familiar with Git, this is going to look pretty familiar, but basically I'm going to get all of the uh, changes that have been merged in from my upstream remote, which is HTBox. Now I'm going to check out master. And finally, I want to merge in any of the changes that were pulled down as part of that HTBox master. So that's going to merge HTBox master into my current branch, which is master. And it looks like I got some changes, so I'll have to pop back in and figure out what's going on. Okay, that makes it easy. We're going to just go right into fixing 343 because that's what this was for. So some bad process there. 343 bug 343 queue mail services. Now, just a couple of cleanup things. I'm going to have to commit these changes really quickly here. So let me have a look and see what's going on. Now it's just going to be coding. So I'm going to mute my mic again, and we're just gonna, if I've got something interesting coming up, then I will show you at that point. Now, I was working on getting my master updated, so I'm just going to do that again. So I'm going to switch back to master, and then I'm going to merge HTBox master, and then I'm going to push that up to my repo. And now, because I'm back in sync and I've got everything in place that I needed for I've pulled down the files from HTBox. I have merged them into my local copy of master, and I've pushed them out. I'm going to check out the branch that I was working on again. Check out bug 343 mail queue services, QMail services. Okay, great. And now I'm just going to do a get rebase from master. This just undoes all of those changes that I've made, catches up my copy of the repo, my branch from that master branch, and then it replays my changes on top. So now I'm going to dive back in and figure out why this thing is not working. You can see here I've actually started, I've prefixed my pull request with work in progress, and then I've tagged number 343. And I am going to also note, put in here uh, which bugs that this is going to fix. So this is going to fix 343. It's also going to fix a couple of other ones. So I'm going to note those as well. Important things here. This will automatically close these bugs for me because I say fixes, or I can say closes or resolves, and it'll actually shut those ones down as soon as somebody merges the pull request. The other thing is that because I've got a work in progress tag on here, nobody's going to merge it in until I say so. So this is completely safe to send. Now that said, there are a couple of related tasks, so I'm going to go have a look at these as well. So 330 has been reopened. This is the error message that's popping out. So I'm going to fix this one as well. 330, and I think that's it for now. And I'm just going to send that pull request in. So this will let everybody know that I'm working on these. It tags, you'll see here right away. I'll just send the pull request, and when we view this on GitHub, as soon as I get my notification here, when we view this on GitHub, it'll actually reference those for me as well. So I can pop back into AllReady, pop over to pull requests, and not quite live yet. Let's check this out. Interesting. Right. Ha 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 ha. I am actually doing a pull request back to master. I want to do a pull request back to HTBox master. So we're going to try that again. Easiest way to correct this is to pop back into a new branch. So we'll do bug 343 Q mail services HTBox. I'll just add config as well. We need a different branch name. Config, create new branch. And rather than going to master, I'm going to actually go to HTBox master. And the pull request still looks good here, so I can send this in. I'll have to clean up my own repo later, but that's not as big of a deal. I just want to notify everybody on the project that this is working. So that has been done. That has been completed. This should refresh right away, but I can just force it. And then there's the work in progress. Now, what I wanted to show was how there's these fixes links in here. There's another interesting thing that we're doing on this project. And as part of our continuous integration process, we've got AppVeyor set up, and it is picking up this PR, and it's going to run and make sure that these changes jive with the rest of the system, that all the tests still pass and everything. This is something that'll just help you with confidence. Now, if you drill into these other ones, you'll see here that I've now got a work in progress going on here. So I actually have to pop back in here. I'm going to kill this pull request. This is on Mr. James. I'm going to close this guy because we don't need it. I'm going to delete that branch as well here, just to clean things up on my own side. Okay, great. Pop back into HTBox. Pull requests, work in progress. Pop back into one of these other guys. And we can see the local open work in progress branch right here. Okay, so now I'm gonna get to work. The notification piece is something that's part of the administrative workflows, and you'll need to log in as an administrator. If you download the project to get started, you can pop into the Solution Explorer and look at in the base of the web project, in the root of the web project, there is a file called config.json, and the default administrative username and password are actually right here. So these are just part of what happens in your local build. These values are replaced when we go to the cloud. In the local environment, there's a setting which prevents information from being sent to the queue. That is located in config.json as well. And that is right here, enable Azure Queue service. If this is set to false, it's just going to log it out here instead. We've got a fake queue writer service, which as you can see, just uses the default logger and will actually write it out to your output window in the debug console. So nothing that you need to do in order to make that work. That will be the default. Config.json has this set to false. If you'd like to use Azure Storage and you've got a deployment, you need to add a setting to your environment variables that looks like this. It's data storage Azure storage. So you do data storage Azure storage, and the value of that will be your connection string to the storage service in Azure. So you take that guy, you plop it into an environment variable as the name, as the key, and the value that you set is whatever you need for a connection string for your storage account. Finally, you would set this to be true, and then it'll actually send it off to the Azure queue. Looks like I just found another bug. It's adding all three of these to the queue 3 times to be sent. So I'm just gonna have to work through that now as well. So I'm just gonna commit my changes, push up another, push the commit up to GitHub and go from there. So I just found the defect here. Actually, what's happening is this collection contains 3 items, and then it's for eaching over this collection. And because there's 3 items in it, it's actually adding the range each time. So it's pulling in confirmed emails and phone numbers, and that's not what it needs to be doing. So I'll just let this play out, and we'll watch the output, and we'll see that 9 messages are going to go by here. So I'll play this guy out, and let that guy play out. And oh, well, we just got a whole timeout thing going on, so we'll just continue with that post back and let it play out. And we'll see, we got 9 messages written out there. It went by really quickly, but you could see it. So I'm going to stop it now and fix the bug. Final thing I do before I'm going to close this is just make sure that the queue storage is actually being written to correctly. So in order to do that, I'm going to check my um, uh, essentially just check to make sure that the storage queue is getting populated. However, I just have to wait for it to show up. So there's my storage queue that I'm expecting, and here is an email pending deliveries queue. And then here's the poison queue. So you can see there's actually been some failures that I've done in the past or whatever. One of the nice things about Azure Storage Queues is that when it'll do a retry for you, it'll try to process that queue. We have a corresponding web job that runs in the background off of that's queued off of this or keyed off of this. Hey, where did it go? It's keyed off of this queue here. So in the web jobs folder, you can find in the notifications processor, there's a class called functions, or a file called functions. And in here, well, I guess the class is called functions as well, but it actually tries to read off this email pending deliveries queue. It'll process this for us automatically because of this queue trigger. And this is all quote unquote free. So it's kind of cool because this job lives here. It's deployed with the website, and it quote unquote just works. So I'm just going to figure out now if this is actually able to push to the queue correctly. It seems like we're getting a config error per our other defect here. So we've got these other guys here. So 343 and 330. 330 is the one with the config error that we're trying to solve. So it says here, no valid combination of account information found. So we need to make sure that this connection string is being read correctly. Just found another suspect file here. This iRequest handler will take care of that with a subsequent pull request here. was just checking to make sure that configuration was wired correctly. It looks like my Azure storage settings were indeed populated, so I will continue with execution. We are indeed, oh, look at that. We have a problem here. So configuration. So I'll fix that after. I'm going to set my next statement here, though. The problem there just occurred to me. I just added an environment variable to set the flag for enabling Azure Queue Storage to true. So the problem there is that Visual Studio is still running, and I actually need to restart Visual Studio in order to get things to work properly. In the interim, it's fixed with my little subtle little hack there to select the, or to set the value by, I added that as that service, the queue storage service instead of the fake one, just by manually setting breakpoints there and choosing my own code path. Excellent. So that is indeed coming through, and looks like we've got this bug nailed. So I'm going to get ready to close off this PR. I just want to notify my team that there are some fixes in. So there's a couple of different environments. I just want to make sure that I note which ones are required or which ones might need changes. So we will look for those environment names. I will actually make it more generic. And you can see as I was writing the summary there, we also got our test passing. So now that that's happened, Bill does a lot of the poll. Bill Wagner is actually the president of Humanitarian Toolbox, and he also is one of the um, administrators over this repository. So he will go in and verify that indeed the checks have passed and that the branch is up to date, and then he'll do the merge in. We'll probably even see this within the hour. He's usually pretty good about getting in there really quickly. I did notice that errant file in the project. Looks like it was a mistake. Probably someone just adding a class locally instead of properly um, getting the reference to in service or to um, mediator. We can see here there's no references on this guy. So I'm going to delete this. So I just need to set up for that really quickly. I'll switch back to master and get myself set up on a new branch. I'm fairly certain we've got 0 references here in CodeLens. We have just this I request handler. Let's see, it came in on what commit? Came in from Brian on the 10th. Okay, I'm just going to go and look at what was going on in this change here. It looks like should be able to sort this out pretty quickly. Commit ID 96 AO. Okay. Yeah, this was added in. The type signature doesn't actually match the interface that for the other version that was being used. So I can see that this is probably an errant file, and just doing a bit of due diligence here. We'll rerun our tests to make sure this all passes, but if it builds, I'm pretty sure we're safe. So one of the things that I want to do is make sure that everything that we need is tied off for this November MVP. So this is what we're going to be going live with our private preview. So I've just set my milestone to that, and I want to find anything that is still open that is considered a P1. So it looks like we are on our way to doing that. So 246, this looks like it was merged. So I'm just gonna leave a note here for Joel. So in this query, we just have this issue here for simplify logo image upload. So that's the one that we're just asking for Joel to tidy up. And we've got this other guy here. So 246 looks like it should be done. We'll check that out. Create keyword container. So none of these have made P1s, these other issues here. Add button to populate contact info from org. That one looks like it might be done. So we should check that one out. And I know that the thermometer is done. That's already been merged in. So I'm going to close that one. I believe this 249 is complete as well. Okay, we're gonna maybe just check this out and see if this works. It looks like, so this is part of that same one that we were looking at before. So I should have this available to me. So we'll just investigate this 249 here for a bit. Okay, so I don't like this part of the implementation, popping up a JavaScript box here. So we'll do this via Bootstrap and we'll figure that out as we go. It did indeed copy it in. I'm just going to do a touch up and then patch this guy so that we get modal dialog from, I'm just going to reload this. So we'll lose our changes. I just want to verify, yeah, address one, first name, last name, postal code, state. All that stuff is gone. So I'm going to copy this in rather than having this dialog, fill that in. I'm going to use the Bootstrap modal. So let's go figure out what that's going to take. Okay, so this is just a piece of JavaScript that gets loaded into the page on the fly. We've got a button click handler here that does a confirmation. This looks like we are just a standard. Okay, so there's nothing interesting going on there. Confirmation dialog. So rather than doing that, we're going to wire up two different event handlers. So we'll have handle the confirm click, and then we'll also handle the modal pop-up. Okay, this isn't a critical thing, but it's something I know I can hack off here in half an hour. So this click is actually going to handle the display now. So the rest of this is going to pop in. We can also simplify this because now rather than having this branch in here, we're going to have it tied directly to a button. So there's going to be a button. We know that's happening. There's going to be a button in here. So we'll add the ID of that button, some button, which we will we'll address that before we go, and we're going to add a click handler to it. So no big deal here. Easy code. We'll get that guy in line. I should probably spell function correctly. It's kind of important to the compiler, and we'll just start moving some code around. And actually, if we recall, we can toggle the display of a JavaScript or of a Bootstrap modal by using a data toggle on the modal as a data target. So we add this modal toggle to our target element, and this will actually take care of the wiring for us. So I don't even need to do anything for a JavaScript click handler. So I can actually delete this guy right here and just use the implicit loading method. So we just have to go and find that button that's being used, and that's right here. And we just have to attribute it correctly. So we'll name our dialog properly, and we should be good to go from there. Let's give that a try now. We can reload our assets here, and hopefully this contact button will do the new thing. So just wait for this to finish loading out. Okay, there we go. Now I'll copy the contact info. Not seeing the dialog, so we've got some stuff to figure out here still. That looks like it's starting to work, so confirm contact details. I should be able to dismiss out of here and nothing happens. Should be able to cancel out of here and nothing happens. And if I click override existing details, I should see an Ajax thing that goes, and then I need to make sure that that gets dismissed as well. Hey, welcome in whoever's just joined. I actually can't see you, but I'm sure you can hear me. I'm just working through um, an issue here that to try and streamline this a little bit. There was an alert being popped up, and we just switched it. I just switched it over to a modal dialogue. If you are still online, I'm just opening up the group chat and saying hello. And please feel free to add any comments or questions that you have there. And if you're new to the project, then welcome aboard. If you're checking in, then hello again. Looks like we just have someone else joining. I am open in the group chat here, so if you would like to just go ahead and join the call, that's fine. Just start typing something over in this side here. Welcome to anybody who's joined recently. We are on Humanitarian Toolbox's project called AllReady, and I'm just actually doing a live coding session here, answering any questions. If you'd like to join in, you can join the group chat and just say hello. Let me know where you're dialing in from, and we will get you connected with the code base. This issue is actually already implemented as part of some other code flows, so we're going to just shut this guy down. Again, for anybody who's viewing this streaming session, you can feel free to ask any questions or join in the group chat in the Hangout window to the side there, just to find out more about the project or how you can help. Okay, looks like this one can be closed off as well, so I'll just make a note on here so that we can close this one down when the 343 is passed and merged into our code base. So the goal here today is to make sure that anything that is required in the November MVP or the private preview in our priority, using our priority tags here, we are going to clear these out so that you can see here the Red Cross has started beta testing this software already. And we just want to make sure that they're well taken care of. Welcome anybody who has just joined in. I see a couple more viewers here. Just doing a review of some of the points that we've got in the wiki and adding a new page, giving some tips for Entity Framework 7 migration workflows. This is part of the AllReady project with the Humanitarian Toolbox. You can find this repo here on GitHub. And really what we're doing is trying to, we are creating software, open source software that can be used by relief organizations. And in this case, it would be prior to a disaster occurring. So it's for disaster readiness. And at this point in the day, I'm just doing a little bit of cleanup work on the wiki so that anybody else who wants to contribute will have a little bit of information. So that's what I'm doing. If you'd like to ask any questions or whatever, please join in the group chat and let me know. We've actually worked through a couple of different issues that have been related to uh, bad merge or bad, pardon me, bad migrations. Migrations getting out of order. So we had a couple of things that we needed to do, and we found that this was the best path for kind of making sure that our migrations are in order. So I'm just going to add this to our wiki as well. This workflow actually also um, is a corrective measure when the AllReady context model snapshot gets uh, out of sync. So um, this has happened a couple of times. This is kind of like this is the brute force approach. So maybe I'll just make a note on that as well. Okay, great. So for the half a dozen or so of you that joined in today, didn't get any questions, didn't get any comments or whatever, but you can find the project on github.com, HTBox/AllReady. And we will be back online next Saturday. Please feel free to join in, ask questions. You can engage with the project directly on GitHub, and we hope that you are able to help us out on the project. So until next week, thanks very much.